March 27th, 2020. Google Classroom, Google Docs, WPP, also known as the 4th grade writing cycle. Real quick, we got our first bit of work hanging up. Thanks for that Onepager, Waden. We made a time capsule too. Awesome stuff. All right, so this is the 4th grade writing cycle, and that writing cycle starts with this green folder right here. When you open up this green folder, it contains the plan pages for each bit of writing that we have completed, minus Ellis Island's informational essay and Mars's informational essay. If our current stay-at-home orders and school closures continue longer than April 16th, you will see the Mars essay and Ellis Island essay likely come your way in an additional work pickup. When you see Mars and Ellis Island within Google Classroom, you can ignore those for the time being. Likely what is in your child's folder is their animal structures essay, their grandparent essay here, their grandparent interview essay, giving and getting candy, social media, and this was expanded to simply technology in the classroom. As in 4th grade, we're not using a whole lot of social media per se, but we are using technology. So we can adapt this prompt to should social media and or technology be used in the classroom? Does it have a place? And let's see here, anything else? Mario, I have your sources here for social media in the classroom. And best place to visit. Okay, so for most of your kids, the best place to visit is probably the furthest piece of writing that they have that has gone all the way through the writing cycle, which is here. And when I say the furthest along, they have used their T-chart. Kids, parents, this is the T-chart. This is the front of the T-chart as the topic, title, topic, sentence, main idea. And this is the back of the T-chart, which includes all of, the 3 main ideas, 1, 2, and 3, what are you going to talk about, and those 3 main ideas details that come off on this section. And then the final step of the planning is the conclusion. So when I say that the best place to visit is the furthest along, they've completed the T-chart. They have put their first draft into Google Classroom in their writing portfolio. The next step is copying and pasting that into WPP, which stands for our writing practice program. So they have copied and pasted their essay that they have in Google Docs, and they have pasted it into WPP, which looks like this, okay? All right, and also after WPP, and you get the appropriate score, which I'll go into in just a moment, you copy and paste that final draft back into Google Docs, which is considered your final draft. So this first draft would have been erased, and then your revised copy from WPP would be copied into here, back into Google Docs, I should say. And then from there, that's the handwriting portion of your piece of writing. And so when you look at the writing process, the final step is, is to, one, create the illustration that represents that piece of writing, and then publishing your writing. When it says publishing your writing, you're handwriting it onto those lovely glossy pages that are likely included on the left hand side of your folder. But we don't need to get into that right now. If your child is ready for that, especially with that best place to visit piece, have them go ahead and start handwriting it in. Don't worry about the page numbers on those glossy pages. Those will all be covered up and they'll handwrite the appropriate page numbers. Okay, so best place to visit is probably the furthest along. Okay, for today's purposes, we are going to use our animal structures essay. Our animal structures essay was an essay composed that was an informational essay that talked about an animal of their choice, or an animal that maybe was chosen for them so that they could focus more on the writing process instead of the animal itself. And so when I say that, just simplifying the animal, making sure that it's an animal that has lots of details so that they can go into the writing process. Okay, so as I said before, we're going to use the animal structures essay today for the example of the 4th grade writing process. This is the front. I know it looks like the back. It has the half page, and this wants to be the front because it's the full page and then the half page, but I'm sorry, that's not the way it is. This is the front of your child's essay. They immediately write the topic in the prompt. They have the the title, which is their animal name. And then they go into their topic sentence and their main idea sentence. Topic sentence, you're just introducing what the topic is in a sentence. The main idea sentence is the classic, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to explain. It is my honor to teach you about, and it is the sentence that includes these 3 main ideas, which are, in this case, habitat and diet of the manta ray, the internal structures of the manta ray, and the external structures of the manta ray. So those are the 3 main ideas. And they need to take habitat and diet, internal structures and external structures, and put that into a main idea sentence. I'm going to explain the habitat and diet, the internal structures, and finally the external structures of the manta ray. Okay. And once they get that completed, these 2 pieces are their first paragraph. Okay, I said 2 pieces because sometimes they like to make their topic sentence more than 1 sentence or make their main idea more than 1 sentence. And I inspire them to do that because that will break down the formulaic nature of what we call step up to writing. And so these 2 pieces are their first paragraph, okay? And the first main idea and its details are its second paragraph. And so when I show you the step-by-step process, once we get into Google Docs, you'll notice that the second paragraph will have to do with main idea or habitat and diet. This 3rd paragraph will have to do with internal structures. The 4th paragraph will be the external structures, and the 5th paragraph, the classic 5-paragraph essay wrap-up, is the conclusion paragraph. And in this case, most often the conclusion paragraph, or that final 5th paragraph, is simply just 1 sentence. And that is so that the kids, this whole thing is just so that the kids get comfortable with the idea of writing an essay. And so you'll note like the introductory paragraph is only these 2 parts, usually just 2 sentences, sometimes 3 to 4. If they chose to use some of their creativity in writing, and they're playing with words by using the grammar activities that we do in class. So classic compound sentences are inspired, and sentences that contain many adjectives, or the verbs if we want to go into the actions that the topic is going to display. So we have the basic structure of what this piece of paper is. Over here are the details for each one of the main ideas. You can see I'm missing some of the main idea, or excuse me, the details for my third main idea. I would make sure to finish my plan before I go into Google Docs. I inspire the kids at this stage in the process that whatever is typed into Google Docs must come from the plan. And the first thing that they forget, you guys forget to put into your first draft from Google Docs, is the front of your essay. So often I'm like, where is your topic paragraph? And then you say, oh, and you come back to it and you get it typed in because you worked so hard on this part. This is the attention grabber of the reader. If they're not interested here, they're not going to move on and learn about these juicy details that you got going on over here for each one of your three main ideas. I would make sure to go and fill those details before I start typing into Google Docs. Please, kids, remember that. Parents, step up and inspire them to finish that plan if it has not been completed up to this point. So, say we got our plan done. Mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, aunt, and uncle, they check it over and say, all right, great job. Why don't we go ahead and get your first draft typed into Google Docs? So that's where Google Classroom comes into play. You're going to log into Google Classroom. Again, use the tutorial that was posted Thursday, March 26th. That would have been yesterday. And that Google Classroom tutorial will get you into Google Classroom. And what your kids want to do is click on Writing Portfolio. Once they click on Writing Portfolio, you can click on Classwork, and then what they see from there is their bits of writing for informational writing, as well as their argumentative writing here. So there's Mars, and there is Ellis Island. And unless your kid tells you that they were able to get through the writing process of the typing of Ellis Island and Mars into Google Docs, do not be concerned about that right now. So today we are using animal structures, and so we logged into Google Classroom, we went to the writing portfolio, and now we are looking for the essay that we're working on. And for our purposes, it's animal structures. Maybe today you're working on your mission report, or maybe you came down and you wanted to finish up best place to visit. Wherever you are, find the essay, and you would double click on that essay. And I adapted this just a bit for time purposes. And so pretend with me that I'm in Google Docs and I have clicked on it, and now I have a blank document. So the first thing that you're gonna do is you are going to type your name. Okay, you're gonna start to notice that it's gonna take the shape of MLA format, Modern Language Association format. To get your name, first and last. From there, the type of writing. The type of writing is either informational, or it is argumentative, persuasive opinion. Those are three synonyms for the same style of writing. And or your report, okay? Because your report takes on a completely different shape than does your essay. After you get the type of writing, you want to type the title. As I said before, the title is likely your child's animal's name. And then you type the date, 21 January 2020. That is the MLA format for writing the date. Okay, sorry about that. So that is the heading portion of your child's writing. And then they hit enter twice. They get the cursor into the middle of the screen, and then they type the title, the manta ray for these purposes. Then you're gonna hit enter twice again. And what you see is the topic sentence, okay? It hasn't yet included the main idea sentence, but the topic sentence that I have typed here matches the topic sentence that I have written on my plan page, okay? After you get that topic sentence written, you keep your cursor there, you're not hitting enter after each sentence. But you are going to continue typing after manta ray, okay, after manta ray in the period, and that is the main idea sentence that I was saying that captures those three main ideas on the back of their T-chart. I'm going to explain the habitat and diet, the internal structures, and the external structures of the manta ray. So now your child is ready, kids, you're ready to move on to the first main idea paragraph of your essay. Hit enter twice. Oh, excuse me. What did I add here? I went in and here, kids, remember this piece. For reference, this is a review lesson. Your kids have seen this lessons. Kids, you have seen this. I included the scientific name for the manta ray. And so do not bold that sentence in your writing. I bolded it to highlight that I added information into my topic paragraph. So now, after your topic paragraph's completed, hit enter twice, hit the tab key so that your kids are ready to indent, and then you are ready to, oh, sorry, that's not a J-touch. Type your first main idea sentence, okay? That is the main idea sentence that, if you bear with me just a second here, that main idea sentence came from right here. To start with, I'm going to explain the manta ray's habitat and diet, okay? And so you want that to mirror what is on the plan page. So I click back on, and unfortunately, I gotta do this over. Sorry about that. I'm gonna get really, really good at this right as we go back to school. So here is that main idea sentence here. To start with, I'm going to explain the manta ray's habitat and diet, and then I start to include all of the details. So I'm not hitting enter yet after that period. You keep on typing. Google Docs will decide when to go to the next line for you at this point. Start typing your details. So I typed in all of my details that I had off to the right-hand side of my T-chart of this particular main idea. And now here, after you get your details typed for the first main idea, which is your second paragraph, go on down and you will type your second main idea sentence. Secondly, the internal structures of the manta ray help them survive in their habitat. Now I'm getting ready to include all those juicy details about the internal structures that allow this manta ray to live in the ocean. And then I include all those details. Has a large body to brain ratio. And then from there, instead of just leaving here I added a detail on what that means. And literally the sentence is, this means that their body size is much larger than their brain. And in this case, body size is allowing them to create buoyancy, to swim in the water. So then I'm ready to add my next detail in addition to this. Notice how I'm using these phrases that allow me to transition into another detail, or they allow me to transition into another main idea. And then from there, I am ready for my third main idea and my conclusion sentence. So, say your child, kids, remember this, say that you are done typing your first bit of writing into Google Docs, or your first draft into Google Docs, and you are ready to copy and paste your first draft into WPP. And yes, I do understand that you're not seeing my third main idea and my conclusion paragraph. I want to spend more time on the movement within Google Classroom, Google Docs, and WPP today. And so we're going to pretend that I have finished this. I am going to highlight this essay, turn it blue. I'm going to hit Control C in order to copy it. And now I'm ready to go to WPP. If you are typing WPP into the Google bar, please type in Writing Practice Program. Writing Practice Program will ensure that you're getting to the right WPP. There's in WPP investment firms and businesses, and those are not the correct links. And so you're typing Writing Practice Program in the Google bar, and then once you're there, I'm going to log in as a student here. So give me just one moment. Camila and Emily, I see you've been on. Thank you for getting on there, and give it a shot. So I am going to log in. Your login for WPP is the first three of your first name, first three of your last name, and the year of your birth. Faith, yours is different. And please let me know if you have any issues logging in with that. And then your password, again, is your classic PUSD and your lunch number. So I will sign in. And when I log in, kids, as a student, this is what you see. And this is where WPP, the whole layout of the website, gets a little tricky. The things that you're clicking on are hard to see. So the first thing you want to do is click on my last name, Tillish, and from there, after you click on my last name, it will bring up this page. Now, in writing history, if your child's writing history in here already has animal structures in there, or whatever essay that they're working on, kids, whatever essay you're working on, you need to click on the most recent date that you worked on that essay. Otherwise, it's going to pull up the wrong version of the essay. So say you've never typed your animal structures essay, the first thing that you do is you click on practice. After you click on practice, it brings up all of the essays that we have thus far for revising and editing. So I'm going to click on animal structures, and then I come over here and I click begin writing. This is the only time I will do this for animal structures. From here on out, I will use that writing history section of I will use the writing history section of WPP to access animal structures. If you go and you click begin writing again for animal structures, it will bring up this same exact screen and you will be worried that you've lost all of your writing. When in fact it's not, because animal structures now is in your writing history. So I'll go ahead and type the title, the manta ray, and, well, that was horrible. The manta ray. And then I'm ready to not just type my essay. Remember, we copied it, and now we are going to paste the essay that we copied from Google Docs directly into WPP. You can see the format's a little messed up. Do not worry about the format here if it's not perfect, so don't worry about moving that, shifting that title over into the middle there. We can do all of that in that final draft tune-up session that we'll have in Google Docs after we're done with WPP. WPP is great. This is where it provides opportunities to to edit your writing and make the appropriate revisions or make the appropriate changes. And so as soon as you paste it, what you want to do is submit it, because once you submit it, it's going to give you a score. Okay, it's going to say, do you want to submit for scoring? And then you say yes. And I'm taking a look here, and I can already see that I have some changes that I need to make to my writing. And so they are organized, or they're symbolized, the changes are symbolized with red and green boxes. The red and green symbolize two different things. Red is for spelling errors, which would include missing apostrophes. Grammar is green, okay? So there's a green G and there's a red S. So if I click on my S here, the comments say this word may be misspelled. Did you mean it is? And when I take a closer look, I see, oh, yeah, that's what I mean. So you can either write at that point it is, or simply place that apostrophe into its. And so to symbolize it is. So at that point, I'm ready to make the change, but I can't make the change until I click on the revise button. One of the biggest issues is that a student sees that, oh, I forgot the apostrophe, so I'm just going to hit the revise button, I'm going to change that, and then I'm going to go over to this mistake here, I'm going to figure out what it is, and I'm going to hit revise, and I'm going to change that. Don't do that to yourself. Take it paragraph by paragraph. So in this case, understand what the error here is for all of the errors within each paragraph, and then click revise. Then you can go in and make, 3, 4, however many changes you need to make within that paragraph. You can make them all under the same click of revise, because you'll notice you only got 30 submissions. By clicking submit the first time, that is your first submission. I have 29 submissions left. And if your kid has more than 29 errors, that one-to-one error location, understand the error, then click revise, they'll run out of submissions before they can finish the essay. So make sure that you are paying attention to the errors that you got to fix. So let's go down here to manta ray. I'm going to click on spelling. If the word ray is a name, it should be capitalized. We know that this isn't the case. So we do not need to make that fix. It is manta ray. It's not your grandpa Ray or your uncle Ray. So I am going to hit close on that error, but I also notice that there's a G next to it. So I'm going to click on that G. And again, says the same thing, talking about Ray there. So I'm going to close that. Maybe I didn't click on the S. Nope, same thing. So I can skip that error. And I have manta ray down here. And so I'm going to infer that these are the same error recognitions here. So I'm going to click on revise and it asks me if I'm sure, because WPP does not want you to run out of errors. So this is great. If I expand this, what you see is the old version of the essay and the essay in which I'm prepared to make the revisions that I need to make based on the edits. So I am going to go in and I am going to include the apostrophe for it is. And then I'm going to take a look at manta ray, learn about the structures of the manta ray. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not going to change it. I don't need to. So now you see this seems to be an update here, kids, where under that same revision tab, it looks like I can click on the errors that I've made and fix them all within one click of the revision button, which looks really great. So the manta ray lives in the ocean. It looks like it's just gonna give me a lot of mistakes here, including manta ray. So here we go. The manta ray feeds on tiny krill. Feeds on krill and tiny particles called phytoplankton. When you join two sentences with a conjunction like and, it helps the reader if you put a comma before the conjunction. Okay, so it wants me to put the comma before the word and here. That's something that I really want to do, but I will go ahead and include that. If manta ray feeds on tiny krill and tiny particles. Okay, we're getting to the point where we're about to hit submit. And when we hit submit, it's going to give us a score. And we will go into what that score means. So I'm going to go ahead and hit submit right now. And when I hit submit, start getting a little excited, and it says that I have a score of 16.9. The score. You want your score to be, families, your kid's score needs to be a 22 or higher. How do you get there? Well, for me, if I would have included my third main idea in my conclusion paragraph, obviously that's going to help my score, but let's assume that I do have that and I am just stuck. I don't know what to do. Mr. Tillish, this is driving me crazy. Parents, you're being driven crazy. You have no idea. What do you do to get that score to a 22? So you're going to go back, click on revise, and you will look through and you're saying, what can I do? What can I do? The best thing to do, our big goal in fourth grade writing is details. In other words, elaboration. Elaborate on what your details mean. Elaborate on the descriptive words, the adjectives. What can you do to add more information so that the reader walks away understanding your topic the best? And so I start looking immediately at my detailed sentences for my main idea. So I'll read my main idea sentence. To start with, I'm going to explain the manta ray's habitat and diet. And now it says the manta ray lives in the open ocean in tropical zones where the water is warmer. Then the next detail is they mostly travel alone along ocean floors. The manta ray feeds on krill and tiny particles called phytoplankton. And right there, something comes to mind. I'm like, oh, I have an additional detail for that within my own memory. I know that krill and phytoplankton are also part of the diet of whales. If you want to include that in there, that's fine. You'd go in, you'd click next to the period at the end of that sentence, and what I'm doing is finding ways that I can include more details, include more sentences, examples. These examples, the elaboration, the details is what is really going to boost your score in writing. And so the manta ray the manta ray shares this diet with many species of whales. Okay? So I added a detail in there. Now say you're like the next sentence, the manta ray is what you call a filter feeder. That is also a detail that connects with that idea of the krill and the phytoplankton. What could I do creatively to add another example? Well, in looking at that, not only do manta rays and whales share the diet, the actual food source, but they also share the ways of being a filter feeder. The whale is a filter feeder by way of its baleen teeth, and the manta ray is a filter feeder by way of its gills. Therein lies the difference between a mammal and a fish. So I could include the manta ray is what you call a filter feeder. And what I did already is I added that additional detail. They filter out the water through their gills while trapping the tiny particles in krill to eat. Right after that sentence, I could say the whale is a filter feeder. Well, the whale is a filter feeder by way of its baleen teeth. Okay. So yes, I'm including details about an additional animal, but what I'm doing is I'm creating a comparison of not only the manta ray, but I'm comparing it to another ocean species that is sharing characteristics. So I've added a couple of detailed sentences. Maybe my score's changed. You know, this is where this is where you guys start getting excited. And so I'll hit submit and we'll see if I got a point or a half a point or something. That is going to keep me inspired. And you can see simply by adding those two sentences, my score went up 1.5 points from 16.9 to 18.2. And so at this point, I'm cruising. I'm feeling real good. And so now I'm ready to go back in and enter some more examples, some more details in that exact same process. And you do that for every piece of your writing. Not only does it get more interesting, but also it can, that's it. Yeah, it just gets more interesting. The more examples, the more interesting your writing becomes, the more you are able to bring to life your topic. Okay. And so now I see that I have my 18.2, say that I got my 22 or higher. I am now ready to go in and copy and paste it back into Google Docs. Now I'm going to hit revise. I'm not going to copy and paste until I hit revise. Because I have this nice version over here that does not have any of the lingering mistakes that you know that just aren't mistakes. Your last name's going to be one of them. So if it says you spelled your last name wrong, please ignore that. I don't think WPP is trying to offend you. It's just not recognizing the grammatical structure of last names, which are, names are just the hardest thing to pronounce in all languages. So I'm going to use this area to copy and paste back into Google Docs. So here we go. I am going to highlight what I have. I'm going to Control C to copy it. And I am going to go back to my original writing in Google Docs, and it's still highlighted. So I'm just going to hit backspace and erase it all. Okay. By erasing it, I am now prepared to Control V. I'm going to hit that Control V, and now I have this version of my writing that has now been edited, revised to the expectations of Mr. Tillish. And what the formatting did, remember when we copied and pasted into WPP, it screwed up our title. Just put the cursor over there by the title, hit that center control button, center control radio button, and it'll move that title right back into it. And then from there, you are ready for that final step of the writing process, which is going to be to handwrite it onto that lovely glossy paper and also make your illustrations for this piece of writing. The illustration for this particular piece of writing is actually already included in many of your green folders if I was able to find it when I was putting all of your work packets together and all your classwork. I was able to locate some of them. It is what they call a pictorial chart. It's a picture of their animal that has the habitat and diet labeled around it. It's very similar to an idea of a one-pager for an animal. So wait, and here's your one-pager for Star Wars, the Jedi Academy. And it includes all the details, and it includes all the information that you read about, that you comprehended. Well, you'll do the same thing with your animal, but you're going to draw your animal in here. And somewhere on there, you have to include that info about your main ideas: habitat and diet, internal structures, and the external structures. So we have now just gone through the 4th grade writing cycle in under 45 minutes. This is a long video. So I do hope that you're able to take a look at this. This is all designed to create independent learners within the classroom. And so most are going to be comfortable with this cycle already. But for those that have some questions, concerns, gaps in how to navigate the cycle, please refer to this video. And if you haven't already done so, please click that subscribe button down below so that you can get immediate access to the videos that I'm making, and maybe just haven't yet posted it to either Dojo or your email. So, happy writing, boys and girls. And as always, I hope you're doing well. Please chime in, let me know how you're doing. There's still a few out there that I haven't heard from, and so I hope all the best for you coming into this weekend. I will see you on the dark side of the moon.